Hello and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing the sort of start-up cost of owning a hamster, so everything you need and how much it's going to cost to originally get your hamster. This won't include any ongoing costs because that's a whole nother thing, because obviously a hamster isn't a one-time cost, it's an ongoing cost, but I'm just going to be talking about the original costs of all the things you need to get started with your hamster. So I have my phone so that I can look up some things that you will need for your hamster to get them going. So I'm going to have two different costs. I'm going to have one at the lowest price you could possibly start it up and one at the highest price, meaning probably like cage will be more expensive and all that sort of thing. So I will start with that. So obviously the first thing you're going to need is something to keep your hamster in, aka a cage. So for the cage, you can either have a bin cage, which is going to cost you about £25. These are DIY, so you will need some form of skill, but they're very, very easy. So you could either have a bin cage, which is going to cost you about £25, or you could go for something like the Living World habitat, which is going to cost you about £130. So they are two very different things, but that is the first thing you're going to need. And then you're obviously going to need some sort of substrate. Now, the cheapest sort of thing is getting a bedding from a horse supplier like Orbio's or any hemp-based bedding. So that is what I get. I get hemp-based bedding, which costs me about £11 for 20 kilos, which lasts me a long time. So you can either get something very cheap like that, or you can get something more on the higher end like Carefresh, which is about £7 for 10 litres. And to fill up a good sized cage with enough bedding for them to burrow in, that's probably going to cost you about £28. So add £28 to the highest total and then £11 to the lowest total. And then obviously the next thing you'll need is you'll need a wheel. Now wheels can vary in cost. Okay, so a hamster wheel can cost you anywhere between about £6 to about £20. This will also depend on your breed of hamster, because different breeds will need different sizes. For example, a Russian dwarf will need about at least an 8-inch wheel, 7 or 8-inch wheel, whereas I would say a Syrian will probably need a 10 to 12-inch wheel. So they are going to be different prices. Also, if you want to get one that's silent and doesn't make a load of noise, that will have an effect on the cost. But it doesn't make too much of a difference these days because the hamster wheels are a lot better than they used to be. For example, my hamster wheel is very quiet and it's from Pets at Home. It was £7. So let's add those two to our totals. So let's add £20 to the highest one and we can add £6 to the lowest one. Now obviously now you're going to need some hides. Now I would suggest at least having 2 hides because it gives them options of where they want to sleep. They might decide they don't want to sleep in either of them and they want to just bury themselves in a spot. But you're going to need a couple of hamster hides, which can definitely vary in price depending on whether you get wooden, plastic, anything from about £3 to £20 depending on whether you want to get plastic, wooden, depending on the quality. I definitely suggest wooden because it means if they chew on it that it's not gonna have an effect on their health, just as long as you make sure that it's treated correctly for hamsters. So it can be, like I said, it can be anywhere from £3 to about £20. So if you double £3, it's about £6 for 2 hides, or it can be about £40 for 2 hides. So if we add that to the total, this is what we're at so far. And then you're going to need something for your hamster to do, like tunnels, maybe a bridge, just like things for your hamster to interact with. So let's have a look. Yeah, so once again, they can be anywhere from about £2–3 for like getting like a cardboard tube to about £20 if you want to get some elaborate like playhouse thing, which I do have my eye on at the moment. if you want to get something elaborate. So it really, once again, it really depends on what you decide to buy. So this could, what did I say, anywhere between £2 to £20. So if you had, I would say you at least need 2 of those, if not 3, to fill a cage, to make it interesting for them. So let's add £6 to the cheapest total, and we could add about £40 or £50 for the most expensive total. And then obviously you're going to need something for them to eat in. Now it depends if you prefer to let your hamster forage for their food or if you prefer to give it to them straight up in a bowl. Now I alternate because I like to make sure, because the hamster mix I use is it's very organic and it hasn't been processed or anything, and it's just the seeds. I do a bit of both because I can't always tell if I scatter it if my hamster has actually eaten it, so I kind of alternate every few days whether I make him forage or whether I put it in his bowl. So a bowl can cost you about £2, or it can cost you about £5. They're not generally not very expensive hamsters because they're so small, so let's add that to our totals. And then you're going to need a water bottle. Now then, a water bottle, it's definitely best to get a glass one just because the bacteria doesn't get as bad in it. It's a lot more clean. Just for a mini water bottle that's about that big, that's all you really need for a hamster. It can be about £3, or if you're getting a glass one, if you get the Living World, it can cost about £4. So £3 to about £4 or £5. So a water bottle isn't very expensive, and there isn't much difference between a glass water bottle in price and a plastic water bottle, so I would definitely suggest going for the glass water bottle just because, as I was saying, harbours less bacteria, it's healthier for them. So yeah, and then I think the last thing you're going to need, yeah, is a sand bath. Now, some people say Syrians don't need sand baths because they don't use a sand bath that much, however dwarfs do. I say every hamster needs a sand bath. They enjoy it, it's good for their coats, it keeps them all nice and clean, it's their way of bathing themselves and cleaning themselves. So I would definitely say a sand bath is necessary. Depending on the breed of your hamster will depend on how big it needs to be, because for a Robovoski, or a Roborosky, I never know how to say it out of those two, but it doesn't need to be in massively large. I would still make it quite big because it's good for them to have a lot of space to be able to run in it and like be able to do all the things they want to do, whereas a Syrian hamster is definitely going to need quite a large one because they are so big anyway. But you can just use glass, like, what do you call it, like a baking dish, like a glass baking dish, or you can just use like an acrylic plastic dish, or you can use something wooden. It definitely varies in price, but I say you could probably get one from about anywhere from £2 to £10, and then obviously you're going to need some sand to go in it. So the best one used to be the, what was it called? Oh my god, I can't remember what it was called. You know, the chinchilla hamster gerbil. What was it called? I can't remember, but it came in like a cylindrical cardboard box, but then they changed the ingredients in it and it's no longer safe for hamsters. So the best thing is children's play sand, reptile sand, kind of a mixture of that, or if you can find any other suitable ones online. So I would say that can cost you from about £5 to £15 depending on what you decide to use. And I keep knocking this plant. Almost forgot about hamster food. So hamster food is gonna cost, first of all you need to find one that's good, and I haven't found one that's perfect from a pet shop, so I would definitely say mix a couple of pet shop foods if you're planning on doing that. But you can also research and then make your own food, just make sure that it's all safe. But this could then range anywhere from about £5 to £15 depending on whether you decide to buy your own ingredients to make it, or whether you just buy a couple of pet shop foods and mix them together. Now that's perfectly fine as long as within those 2 pet shop foods you get all the nutrients needed. So just make sure that they are getting everything they need from those 2 food mixes. But that is everything you will need to start off your hamster. So here are the total costs, lowest and highest. So I really hope this has helped you figure out the sort of pricing and how much money you're going to need to spend to get your hamster started up. Obviously you're then going to need to get your hamster. Now your hamster, I would say get from a reputable breeder or adopt one. So you can adopt one from Pets at Home Adoption, and I think Petco and I think PetSmart also have adoption programs. So for the UK, Pets at Home has an adoption program, and for the US, Petco and PetSmart have adoption programs. So definitely check there, or you can use Pre-Loved or Pets for Homes, which are 2 places where people basically sell animals they don't want anymore. So you can save a hamster that isn't wanted anymore or that has been living in quite bad conditions, and then you can just give them a good life. But a lot of people do decide just to get from pet shops just because they have such a short lifespan. I really don't suggest doing this, because then you're just supporting rodent mills, which are not a very pleasant place for any animal to grow up from, and they're bred for profit, not for health, so they are most likely going to have a shorter life anyway. So I would definitely be wary about pet shops. I wouldn't get them from a pet shop. I'd get them from the pet shop adoption section, but just be careful about where you get them from. Just make sure you're getting them from someone that knows what they're talking about, and that will get you a good hamster. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope this has helped you decide, sort of work out how much money you're roughly going to have to spend to set up your hamster cage and get it ready for a little furry friend. And I will make a video on ongoing costs soon, so I will see you soon. Bye!